Welcome back to Miss Curtis's art class. Today we are going to be learning how to draw our very own gator. So as you can see in my picture, after I drew the gator, I added a little pond down here. I also put a sun, some clouds, and a ground for the gator to stand on. So you can have a lot of fun adding whatever unique background that you want. So we are going to get started. All that you are going to need for this project is something to draw with. So again, I'll be using my Sharpie marker so you can see my lines nice and clear, and something to color with. So today I'm going to be using colored pencils and marker. If you have crayons, that works just as great. So let's get started. Okay. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is make your frame and name on your paper. So I'm using a piece of computer paper. If you have lined paper, that's fine too. I'm going to use the opposite hand that I'm not drawing with to hold my paper tight while I make my frame around my paper. So as we usually do when we make our frame, we are going to hold our paper and just pull our marker to make a straight line. And I'm going around the edge of my paper, just leaving a little bit of space. Remember that if you feel more comfortable making a curvy line for your frame, you can do that. You don't have to make a straight line. And again, I'm just pulling my marker along my paper. Okay? All right. Once you've done that, you are going to want to write your first and last name at the bottom right of your paper and your homeroom number. So I'm going to write Miss Curtis and 219. Okay. All right, so now the first step to making our gator is we are going to want to find the middle area of the paper. So that's where I'm going to be placing my gator because I want to have some area to draw a pond and maybe a sky. So it's up to you. You can put your gator lower or higher. Maybe your gator's up on top of a mountain. So that's up to you. The first shape that we are going to make is going to be an arch line in the middle of the paper. So I'm going to hold my paper tight again, and I'm going to make an arch, just like so. And this almost looks like a rainbow, right? The next step is we are going to close the shape by making a straight line across. And this is going to be the gator's body, okay? And you'll see that in a moment. The next step that you're going to want to do is make a triangle shape for the neck of our gator. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. From this corner right here on the bottom left, you're going to make a straight line going up just a little bit, and then an angled line coming right down to this little arch. So straight line up and an angle coming down, and this is going to be the neck of our gator. The next step that you are going to do is we are going to make the head of our gator. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make a longer angled line coming out, and I'll show you what this looks like. So from this corner again, I'm making a diagonal line. It's a little bit longer. And then I am going to make a straight line across and come down right here where this neck is, okay? So straight line across and just kind of connecting it to that neck. So you can see we have some interesting shapes going on here, right? This is almost like a half circle, and then we have some different triangles. Now let's add some facial features to this gator so you can kind of see how it's gonna come to life. I'm going to start by adding the teeth. Now I'm going to make a mouth, which is going to be a straight line going across, but not all the way, because again, this is the mouth. It's not gonna go all the way to the side of the head. And then I'm going to make some triangle shapes coming down from that mouth to make some teeth for our gator. The next step that you're going to want to do is make some eyes. Now the eyes are going to be popping out on top of this gator's head, and they are going to be 2 arched lines, just like so. Like, again, looks like a rainbow, right? 1, 2, and a U shape inside, and that's going to be our gator's eyes. It's starting to come together now. The next step that we are going to do is make the nose of our gator, and that again is an arched line and a little dot inside, and that's the nostril. Cool. So far, so good. The next step is we are going to make a longer tail, which is going to be a triangle shape that's going to come out from the back of the gator. So watch me first. I am simply going to make a straight line at the bottom coming from this corner, going across. I'm going to get close to the edge of the paper, but I'm not going to hit it. And then I'm going to make a diagonal line that is going to connect to the end of that straight line. And now I have this triangle shape that is a tail for our gator, because we know gators have really long tails, right? Okay, the next step is to make some feet. So I am going to start by putting 2 feet towards the front and 2 feet towards the back. So I'm going to make 2 straight lines that come down and a little foot, which is just basically a little oval shape at the bottom, and another foot, 2 straight lines, a little foot, and then the same for the back. Okay, now our gator has some legs and feet. The last step I want to do is add some texture to this gator's body. So to do that, I'm going to make some curvy lines on this gator's back, because we know that gators have kind of like scales that they have on their back. So, or not necessarily scales, but it's kind of like a rough back. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. So I'm going to just make these U shapes, just kind of like a curving line. And the same for the bottom. Almost looks like waves in the water, right? So now our gator has some texture on their back. Okay, so now this is where it gets fun. You can start to think about what you want to put in your background. Do you want to put some trees or a little pond like I did? So I'm going to show you how I would go about drawing a background, and you can add your own details. You can use some of the things that I'm drawing. It's totally up to you. So the first thing I'm going to do is create a horizon line so that this gator is not just floating into space. So I'm going to start at the edge of my frame, and I'm simply going to draw a line. I'm going to have it curve just a little bit to show that the ground has some curvature towards it. I'm not going to go through the feet. I'm going to go right over and keep going so it looks like the gator is in the front or the foreground. And I'm just going to continue, and there should be a little line in between those feet. Okay. Now, the next step is I had a pond down here in my original drawing, and I'm going to add a pond as well. I think I'll have the pond coming from the other side. So I'm just going to do a nice curving pond from one edge of the frame to the other, because we know gators love water, right? And what else? Oh, a nice sun. So a sun is a circle. And some triangle shapes coming out. I'm excited to see what backgrounds you decide to do. Okay, and then I might want to add some clouds. And clouds are just curving lines that connect, so it's just going to be Just a little puffy cloud. They don't have to be perfect. You can make some smaller so they seem like they're further in the background, some larger. Awesome. Okay, so now I've created my background or environment for my gator, and now I would love to add some color. So, like I said, you can use whatever you have. So if you have crayons, colored pencils, or markers, I am going to start with some colored pencils. I'm going to use a nice bright green for my gator. So when you're using colored pencils, you are going to make the motion of back and forth. Same with the crayons. So I am simply going to take my time coloring in my picture, just like so. The harder you press, the darker the color is going to be. So I'm just pressing not too hard. I mean, I would say like somewhere in between very light and hard. I'm going back and forth. And then for smaller areas, I'm going to take my time, use the tip, go around. Okay. Now you want to try and fill in all of the white space. Take your time to do that so that you can see as much color and your picture turns out very vibrant. Okay, so I might color this green. One thing I wanted to show you that I thought was kind of neat that I did in this picture. So I actually used two colors in my sun. So you might want to try layering some colors. I used yellow and orange. So first I put down the yellow because yellow's lighter, and you want to put your darker colors on top of your lighter ones. That's a little trick. Okay, so that they show up better. So I might start by making the sun yellow, coloring this in, okay, and these areas. Okay, and then if I wanted to, I could just put a little bit of orange into my sun to make it seem like it's very bright and very warm. Yellow and orange are warm colors. Green, blue, and purple are cooler colors. They make you feel a little bit colder when you look at them. So I'm still letting a lot of the yellow shine through. I'm just lightly pressing with the orange. And then I might just go in a circular motion around this sun. Make it seem a little more 3D. Go darker around the edges and lighter on the inside. Now this is a little bit advanced, but I thought it might be kind of fun for you if you wanted to try and layer some of your colors. Okay, so now that sun's looking pretty bright. All right, so I'm going to speed this up, and I look forward to seeing your pictures come out and how you decide to color them. So like I said, I'm gonna speed this up and we will share at the end. Okay, so that is how I colored in my gator here. I even added some waves in the pond. So yeah, so I can't wait to see how yours came out. I hope that you enjoyed this lesson, and I look forward to next week's lesson with you.